They're playing in a phone booth and they get a lot of contact day in and day out, especially in games. I've been really proud of that group, Kirby Smart said about his offensive line. They've had to circle the wagons, and players have had to step up at different moments in the game. And I think the offseason helped us more than anything because we geared our offseason towards being able to run the ball effectively and stop the run effectively and improve in some areas, and they've done a good job of that. Some of that's been by way of the quarterback, some of it's been by way of the offensive line, and some of it's been by the way of the running backs, but it's important to our success, and the offensive line group has played well. That was Kirby Smart on Wednesday talking about Georgia's run game and the offensive line and just having to deal with the injuries this season. We've seen Monroe Freeland get banged up. Ernest Green has been out. Those two guys are important players for the Dogs on the outside. And as we get ready for this last 5 games of the regular season, Georgia won 6 games, so they're going to go to a bowl game. But what will their situation be in terms of the playoff? That's the question you're wondering about as you build towards these last 5 games. I've really, you're going to really want to read what we're hearing. You're going to really want to tune in to what we're hearing when I have that out. It's going to be about 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock on Saturday. Just when the games start, you're going to be able to see my skull, my giant skull up here, talking about a lot of different things and talking to a lot of different people, not just at Georgia, more this time around the league. People looking at things. It's going to be a really neat article. And one of the things that, when you talk to different people in different places, Georgia is in a unique position to really do some damage, generally speaking, not just this season, but just looking out on the horizon. They're so well positioned with their football program and lining everything up. And right now on this offensive line at Georgia, when I say lining everything up, I mean the president of the president of the university and his $2.3 billion budget at Georgia understands how important Kirby and the football program, more importantly even than Kirby, is to the institution. And the most important part, I would argue, to the football program is the offensive line. The quarterback may be in front of the offensive line, barely. But if the offensive line is not performing properly, you're not going to get good quarterback play. I would say we saw that last year at Georgia. You did not get great offensive line play a year ago with an offensive line that really wasn't that bad, but the sum of the parts never did seem to get where you wanted to go. That was the problem with 2024 Georgia, was that they never could run the ball when you really wanted to. Was that because ETN was out? Was that because Chauncey Bowens was not playing enough? Was that because Nate Frazier was young? Was that because they were asking Carson to do too much? And as you saw last Friday night, you don't want to ask Carson to do too much. You want to let Carson be Carson. And that's it. Like, not say, hey, we need you to throw it 30 times. Because you ask any quarterback to throw it 30, 35, 40 times in a game, you're asking for interceptions. You ask for a quarterback to carry the load and not have 100 yards rushing, you're going to have a real problem. Gunnar Stockton's not had to deal with that this year. In part because of Gunnar Stockton. Not just in part, but a lot because of Gunnar and the way that he plays. And just this Georgia offense is performing better than last year. It's hard to score points on the road. They had 20 against Auburn. Probably not a great game right there. But then you think about playing at Neyland and scoring 40-plus points. You play Kentucky, and I can't remember the score. They get 35 points. You talk about this past week against the Rebels, 40-plus points. Tennessee, Ole Miss defense is not great. Alabama, Georgia should have scored more points in that game. But this is really about how well this offensive line is done coming together. And Ernest Green is still going to be there. At some point, Ernest Green is going to be right this season. And that will help Georgia too. And I think with the right-hand side of the offensive line, with Glover and Gaston, you got a massive mauler in Juan Jr., a guy that is, really playing well. Glover's really playing well. Drew Bobo's playing at an all SEC level. I mean, I don't know if he's first team all SEC, but he's playing at a high level. And I think because people like to hate on his dad, maybe they're not looking at how, or I don't know, but I mean, Drew's had a good season. It just someone needs to say that out loud. Okay, we're 7 games into this, and he's really just had a good season. But it's, part of what Drew Bobo's got to do is make sure that the right-hand side of that line, which are 2 young guys who have played 14 total games of college football so far, or maybe even 13 in some cases, and I don't know all the math on that. He's got to make sure they're good and are right. I think this offensive line is going to be hard to deal with over time. And that could mean the end of this season. I don't know yet if Georgia is sort of getting where it's got to go. I think they've gotten better as a team. I don't know if I'm really qualified to say that. And when I say as a team, I was thinking actually offensively. They seem to be cool with playing the way they play. And I think that, it's not really right to do this. I mean, 2 of the last 3 games that they've played on offense, they played really pretty well. I would say the games they didn't play unbelievable on offense, the Alabama game, the Austin Peay game. That's about it. I mean, they played pretty well offensively. I think you have to take a look back, and I do this all the time. I look at quarters. I look at how well did you play in a quarter. But like if you just look at the numerically, scoring 45 against Marshall, 28 against Austin Peay, 44 against Tennessee, 21 against Alabama, 35 against Kentucky, 20 against Auburn, 43 against Ole Miss. So in your 7 games, 4 times you've scored over 35 points or more. Defensively, how have you done? You've allowed 6 points, 7 points, and then you allowed 41. You allowed 24. You should be able to win games where you allow 24 points, allow 14 points, and then Auburn with 10. 4 of the 7 games, they've not allowed more than 2 scores. So the Alabama game was kind of an average game for Georgia. Offensively, defensively, I don't think they played bad on either. But it is one of these situations where this Georgia team is going to have to continue to get better. One thing that will help your small business get better and continue to get better is using our friends from Sales Hatch. We've done this. It's not easy connecting to the right person. Sales Hatch is going to get you connected to the right person. They're going to get you to the right people. They're going to open the door for you and get you where you got to go so that in the case of Dawg Post, Matt and Ryan and I aren't calling everybody in the free world saying, hey, this is what we can offer you. Sales Hatch is going to do that part for you. I've got some more stuff to talk about with Sales Hatch coming up next week. Stay tuned for that. You're going to stay tuned for the rest of this season at Georgia. I don't know what to make of Florida. That's a good question. I don't quite know yet. I mean, the line's come out 7.5, 8.5. We'll see where it settles. We will see where the Gators settle. Then you've got a trip to state. Probably a tougher game than people want to say out loud because the way that state plays might be a little tricky. But if you're not going to run it on Georgia, you're going to have a hard time. And then you've got Texas, which has a really good defense but is struggling big time on offense. Does Georgia win that game 20-10? Do they lose it 24-21? Charlotte, they'll kill Charlotte. And then they play Tech. So, if you get to the Tech game and you're 10-1, you'll be in the playoff. There won't be much to consider or think about. There's just, it's just what it will be. But I think Georgia has got a great opportunity right now, but it will depend on what happens with this offensive line. Do they continue to get better? Are they striving to really play games the way they want to play them, which is in a phone booth, beating people up in the 3rd and 4th quarters? Dude, listen, man, if they're in that position, any game they play, Alabama, Ohio State, Indiana, Georgia, you got to like their chances in those games. They won't. And they may have to beat all three of those teams to win the national championship. It may be that way. It may be that none of those teams are in their way. I don't know. But you're not going to win it all without playing really good teams. We'll see how it goes and where it goes from here. I just thought it was very curious. Kirby's talking about this offensive line, what the work they've done to get there, and circling the wagons.